You've tuned in to the Nunes Newscast, available on the Devin Nunes YouTube channel, iTunes, and wherever you get podcasts. Here's your host, Devin Nunes.
Water is the lifeblood of our valley, but we're being denied the water our cities, farmers, and families need to survive. In response to repeated water grabs by radical environmentalists, Republicans in Congress and President Trump have worked hard to secure the valley's water supply. Over the last 3 decades, more and more water has been diverted away from the Central Valley. Now 80% of the fresh water in the Delta is flushed out to the Pacific Ocean and wasted. 80%. As radicals tried to turn the valley into a desert wasteland, hundreds of thousands of acres of fertile farmland were idled or permanently retired. Without state or federal action, the status quo would have forced nearly 1 million acres of fertile farmland out of production. Recently, President Trump came to the valley. Let's listen to what he had to say.
Can you imagine the state being rationed when you have millions and millions and millions of gallons being poured out into the Pacific Ocean that you could have, and you can have more water than you knew what to do with? And, this all started because I was driving up, what was the highway, Devin, that we were driving? 99. Does everyone know 99? And I kept saying, Devin, why are these fields all brown and they look like desert? They look like they were starved. It's too bad you have a drought. And then I'd see little patches of the most beautiful land I've ever seen. And then I'd go to the next and I'd see acres and acres of brown, really dry, horrible looking stuff. And then I'd see a patch of the most beautiful farmland I've ever seen. I said, what's going on? It's too bad you have a drought. He said, no, we don't have a drought. They won't allow us to have water in the state of California. That's how this all started. Believe it or not, that's how I really got to know Devin Nunes.
House Republicans have passed nearly a dozen water bills since 2012, but each one died in the U.S. Senate due to opposition from Democratic senators from California and our Democratic governors. President Trump was the first U.S. president to bring attention to California's water crisis for nearly 50 years. In 2018, he directed the federal government to replace damaging regulations with new rules based on common sense and the best available science. Let's watch another clip from October 2018 when President Trump signed a presidential memorandum relating to California water.
Some of the best farmland in the world, by the way, can't be used because they don't have water, but they actually have a lot of water. In a few moments, I will sign a presidential memorandum to dramatically improve the reliable supply and delivery of water in California, Oregon, and Washington.
In October 2019, almost a year after the president's executive order on California water, the Trump administration completed new regulations to provide desperately needed water to the Central Valley instead of flushing it out to the ocean. Rejecting the best available science, California Governor Gavin Newsom opposes these new water policies, which were developed by President Trump, the U.S. Department of Interior, Fish and Wildlife, and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Earlier this year, President Trump visited the Central Valley to bring attention to the water crisis and sign the updated regulations that would return water to the valley for the first time in decades. He is still the only president to take action on this crucial issue. With Governor Newsom's support, radical environmental groups immediately filed legal challenges to these new regulations. Governor Newsom eventually sued the Trump administration over the new biological opinions that would provide relief to the valley. Even Valley Democrats refused to support President Trump's solution to increase water supply to our region. Amid the Democrats' opposition and lawsuits, President Trump continues to work with Republicans in Congress to implement common sense policies that would secure our water supply for decades to come. President Trump spoke about these issues at the White House just last month.
I will say I got you all of your permits necessary from the federal government for water. We throw millions of gallons a day of water into the Pacific Ocean that comes from up north. And when I saw Devin, I say, how come those fields are all barren? They're beautiful land, all barren, brown.
President Trump has acted to unleash the most productive farmland in the world, while Governor Newsom and the Democrats continue to play politics with our livelihood here in the valley. Even during a pandemic and with historic budget shortfalls, the Democrats in Sacramento have found enough money to continue to keep the pumps shut off so that our valley does not receive the water that it should be receiving. President Trump addressed this specifically recently at the White House.
And it veers all the water out into the Pacific. It's crazy. So we're all set, except you need Gavin's signature. If you get Gavin's signature, you can have water from Los Angeles all the way up. And it's the most incredible thing I've ever seen. I thought it was a drought. I said, he said, no, we have tremendous amounts of water, but we send it out to the Pacific Ocean. And it was over the smelt. So if you can get his signature.
The president and congressional Republicans are working to permanently end the Central Valley water crisis. Thank you for listening.
You've tuned in to the Nunes Newscast, available on the Devin Nunes YouTube channel, iTunes, and wherever you get podcasts.